Hey guys, RC Madness here, back for part number 4 for the 22 AC TLR kit build here. We're going to go with bag F. That is the gearbox, motor plate assembly, and slipper hardware assembly. So let's get into it. I'm going to get right into bag F1 here. And again, guys, we're going to build this as per kit specs. I know there's some different options that you can do as far as tuning, but like I said, we're going to go right ahead and we're just going to build this as kit. Okay, first things first here. So it looks like we have our motor plate with a 3x8 screw that's going to be screwed into our motor gear guard. It's going to go there, and our motor gear guard is going to go this way. We're going to grab our 2mm wrench, tighten that right up. Okay, we got our plate screwed onto the motor gearbox there, and it looks like we're going to jump right into the gear diff halves here. And it looks like we are once again going to use a little our black high pressure grease just to help lubricate the threads here a little bit. Put just a little bit in each hole. And we're going to line up our motor plate here, and if you are looking at it per manual picture, it goes right in there together just like this. And then we're going to use our 3x8 button countersunk screws here, and we're going to screw that right together. Okay, now we got that tight. Let's set that to the side. And again, once I said per kit, we're going to use the 3-dot and the 1.75s per kit, and let's install those. So if you are looking at the one with the gear diff with the housing, the 3 dots are going to go down. And the 1.75 is going to go up. And what that does is that allows for when you put the gear diff in and your idler gear, it allows for proper mesh of the gears. And we're going to do the same on the other side. We're going to put that down and put the 1.75 up. And then we will grab the, let's see, it looks like I'm going to go right over here to step 5. We're going to grab the shaft, the output shaft. We're going to put one bearing on there, and one bearing is going to go in the back side of the case here. this bearing, or I'm sorry, this shaft goes all the way through into the front. And then the idler gear, we're going to have one bearing, one shaft, one bearing, goes through like that. Once again, you're going to want to make sure that that sits in there snug. Pop our 10x15s in the bottom of the diff case. Pop that one into the back. And then we're going to take our diff gear, and this here shows our screws facing to the outside. Doesn't so much matter in a gear diff. And then I like to take just a little bit of black grease here and just put just a couple drops in here just to help lubricate the plastic gears, you know, just so we don't have any big mess in there. You know, just a little bit, you don't need a lot, just so it's kind of tacky across the gears. And we'll just pop this together. Should fit together snug. And again, you just want to make sure that you installed the shims in the correct locations, up and down. And before you do your final assembly, you know, just give it a couple turns on the shaft and a couple turns on the gear diff, just to make sure that everything's smooth and free. And then we're going to turn the page here and screw this up together. So we're going to take one screw on the bottom, again, a little black grease just to help. That's going to go into the bottom. We'll use our electric driver for that. And again, you don't want to go crazy tight. I know I keep saying that, you know, just snug. You are only screwing into plastic. And the other one goes into the back of the gear case here. Again, we'll put just a little bit of black grease on there just to help with the threads. Okay. Now let's jump right into the slipper assembly. Once again, I just like to open up all the parts just to get the parts in front of me, just to make sure that we have all our parts necessary to complete each step. Okay, now that we have the assembly of our gear diff and our gearbox, we got that all assembled. Let's set that to the side. And I know for our particular application of racing, this here we're going to do a stock buggy. So we're going to skip out on the 78 and we're going to put the 72 tooth gear on here for this particular one. So we're going to set that to the side. So for installation of this, there is a red shim that goes on the shaft first, all the way down inside, followed by a slipper pad, or I'm sorry, a slipper plate. And then this could be a little tricky at some times. What I like to do is I like to manipulate them flat so they do set on there flush. And then I'll actually take the whole assembly and turn the whole assembly upside down so that I know that that gear stays on those grooves here with the slipper pad. Because if that slipper pad spins, what'll happen is when you are tightening everything up, that slipper pad will not engage. Then on the other side, we are going to install the slipper pad, followed by the slipper plate, followed by the heavy-duty black spring, the washer, and then the 4mm black nut. And that's going to be tightened with the 7mm wrench. And if you just kind of hold on to it with your finger there, you know, you can turn it down. It will get hard to turn. I generally like to go all the way down as tight as it'll go, and then back it off like 2.5 turns. That's a pretty good starting point. So that's all the way down. So now let's back this off 2.5 turns. There's 1, 2.5. So that'll give us a pretty good starting point. We can make final adjustments when we do get to the racetrack. Some tracks and some surfaces are a little bit different, so you may have to either tighten and or loosen the slipper just a little bit more. Okay, so now that we have all that together, let's go ahead and assemble these pieces here. And this piece here is going to go inside of here to cover the top of the gear. And this, the waterfall, is going to go into here. This waterfall as well, there is a little keyway here that does slide underneath that, just so that it does all line up. This screws in all the way. This goes into metal, so it is okay to use just a little bit of Loctite. It is screwing into the backside of an aluminum plate. And again, that's going to be our 2mm wrench. Tighten that through. That's good there. So that's all locked into place now. And then we have on the back side, we do have our 3x8 button head screw that does screw in to the back side of the motor plate and to the waterfall to hold that all into place as well. Okay, and that is assembly of the rear gear case and the slipper assembly. So let's set that aside and go to the next step. So the next step we're going to go here is we're going to go to bag G. Bag G looks like the rear arms, the rear shock tower, and the wing mounts, as well as the links. Okay, so that's 5, 2, 3, and this is 1. Let's start with 1. Again, I like to go in order. And again, we're going to build it to kit specs. There's a lot of different options you can go as far as your rear toe, your anti-squat, but for this particular build, like I said, we're going to follow and we are going to go by what it has for the kit. So once again, we do have a left and a right directional arm. So let's keep that in notation when we start final assembly here. So we have the left arm on the left and the right arm on the right. And we do have a low roll center C and D block. So this here looks like for the rear toe, which would be the D block, that looks like it's going to be the 4.0 over and out. So we're going to install those as they are. That's the 4, and that's facing out. And this would be the other 4, and that's going to face out. Sometimes when you get these lined up too, it does help if you push them on like the edge of the table just to seat them all the way in. Okay, those are properly seated all the way down and in. So let's go ahead and do the C block, which is going to be for your anti-squat, and that is 1.5 up. So again, let's find the direction of that, and there's our 1.5 and up. And once again, our 1.5 and up for our anti-squat. And those ones went in a little bit smoother than the other ones. Again, I'm just going to push them on the edge of the table here just to make sure that they're properly seated. Okay, which now we have our C and D block. Okay, let's go to the next page here. So it looks like here we're going to start the installation of the rear arms. So for installation of our rear arms, we're going to take our left and right arms, and as you can see in the front and in the back of the arm, there are threaded holes as to where your shocks are going to go. Per manual here, it looks like we are going to go into the front, into the middle hole. So following our manual here, we have our left arm, which we are going to go into the front of. And once again, a little black grease just helps the threads. And that's going to be on your 1.5 nut driver. And you will start to feel it get tight, and when you do, that's good. And let's do the same with our right arm. Get a little black grease on there just to help with the threads. And again, that's going to go into the middle hole in the front. Okay, seems to be tightening. There we go, we're all the way in. So now we have our left and our right arm. So let's take our chassis, flip our chassis around here, and it looks like we use our 2x6 flathead screws, which are here. Those are going to hold your C and your D block in. So let's go ahead and attach those. So we have our C block here, which we're going to put on the bottom there. And again, because we are going into aluminum or metal on metal, we are going to put a little Loctite on there just to hold things into place. Okay, so that one is tight.